27-24 was the actual final. So the last 40 seconds of this game were absolute madness. Absolute madness. When I said at the top that we finally had some weirdness, we finally had some weirdness. This game was nuts. Auburn forced Alabama to a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. If they stop Bama, it's over. They win the Iron Bowl at home, a huge upset, 24-20. Jalen Milroe snaps the ball. He has all day because it's a 2-man rush. They drop one guy to spy him in case he decides to run.
Yeah.
He throws an absolute dart to the back corner of the end zone. Isaiah Bond hauls it in. He's got like almost inconceivable man coverage. He's open, jumps up,
A good corner, by the way. Transferred from Oregon. He's from the South. DJ James, a very good corner.
Just a ridiculous throw and catch here. Almost an even more ridiculous lapse in defense. I don't know how that happens, but Alabama scores a touchdown. Then Bama gives the ball back to Auburn. They kick it off. About 30 seconds left. Peyton Thorne gets sacked. He loses the ball. Almost goes for a safety. Does not. They barely get the next snap off before time expires. He throws what looks like a pick six to Terrion Arnold, though they waved off that touchdown. They said he was out at the 3-yard line. Your final was 27-24 in the Iron Bowl. This game was crazy, Dan.
By the way,
crazy. It tells us a lot. I think about how we should feel about Alabama going into this Georgia matchup. It says a lot about rivalry week and why we always say to throw the records out. This game, to me, embodied what this week is supposed to be.
I totally agree. And you sort of skip. You didn't skip because that was obviously the biggest moment, but how we even got to that moment with Jalen Milroe coming up just short near the goal line to set up 4th and short. They get the 4th down conversion. I think it was Roydell Williams tossed to the right. And then a bad snap, and then Jalen Milroe throws it past the line of scrimmage, backing them up to the 31, 4th and goal from the 31. Yeah, Auburn rushing kind of 2. I know there was a 3rd guy in there, but he was sort of a spy. He wasn't rushing the passer. So that was a decision, and that was a decision. Auburn was not rushing a ton of guys, electing to, keep a spy around, which, by the way, doesn't work with Jalen Milroe. There's always an angle until there isn't with Jalen. That's how it works. He's just incredible, and the exact moment you think that he's only a runner, he finds Jermaine Burton streaking down the sideline or just makes a ridiculous throw. I cannot believe Nick Saban mentioned that they practice that kind of play.
He said it. Yeah. But he did qualify it.
He said, believe it or not, or something like that.
He said, believe it or not, we practice that type of thing. But then he qualified it. This is in the post game when he was talking to Jenny Dell. He says, it's still kind of just like throwing it up, right? It's still
totally.
He acknowledges you practice it. You have to know where your bearings are.
But
you have to know where
it
your
is
boundaries
smart.
Are, but
the way that it played out, they did isolate Isaiah Bond on one side of the field for a one-on-one play, and whether that's Auburn's fault and coming up short, that's an easy discussion to have. But I think you got to send more than 2. Just call me old-fashioned, but with the game on the line, you need to force somebody to make a quicker decision than what Jalen Milroe was forced into. Can I tell you the good news about Auburn? I thought it was a super smart and savvy game plan, the way that they ran Jarquez Hunter, the way that they ran Peyton Thorne. A lot of what we saw that worked against Georgia, I thought a lot of the defense was really smart, and they played hard. They got big stops. They forced Alabama to be uncomfortable a lot more than, of course, the Tide wanted to be. You get the muffed punt there at the end, which affects things. Auburn is, not good enough to avoid those mistakes yet. Auburn's going to finish their season losing to New Mexico State and absolutely giving away an Iron Bowl at home. It hurts. It's going to hurt for 300-plus days moving forward. But if there's any positive, and this is not a moral victory thing, the plan was sound, right?
It felt, I jotted down here.
The execution was 93% sound. Yeah.
I jotted down that there were moments in this game where it felt like Hugh Freeze outcoached Nick Saban.
Sure.
And if you're an Auburn fan, you'll take that. You'll take that because this is always going to be a transition year. And assuming he can infuse that program with a little more talent and they can be a little bit more balanced. Look, they threw for 93 yards in this game.
Yeah.
They ran for 244 when everyone knew it was coming. So on some level, that's pretty good coaching and that's pretty good execution, at least on one side of the ball. This is an ongoing project for Auburn. And whatever your thoughts on Hugh Freeze, put him aside. He did a good job coaching football in this game because this is a very good Alabama defense. And coming out of it, this game had me questioning how they're going to look against Georgia. The line for Georgia in that game next week, at least at time of recording, all this is going to change. 4.5 in favor of the Dogs. I feel like Georgia is a much more finished product. Now, Georgia struggled a little bit with Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech moved the ball better than almost anybody in this game that they played tonight in the clean old-fashioned hate rivalry, which we'll talk about here momentarily. But I came away very impressed by Auburn. I came away very impressed with Jalen Milroe. He's gone a long way since being a liability the first couple weeks, now to basically being the centerpiece the last couple games for Alabama.
Yep.
But ultimately, you survive and advance a rivalry week, especially on the road. And Alabama got the job done. So I give them a lot of credit for winning in the manner that they did, however random it might have felt given the way that thing shook out down the stretch.
Man, Ron Roberts in the Auburn defense. Stupendous hairline, so there's that.
Yeah,
Auburn's defensive coordinator, but oof.